Well, I'm just remembering last time.
Yeah, I remember last time too, probably. I am good at next to now. See what's in there.
Do you remember what to do when there was no gates here?
No, I don't. There were always gates when I came.
Oh, really?
I remember.
Do you remember?
I remember when the gates
Just
were
open.
first put in. It was just open in curtains.
We were lucky no one attacked the beginning.
Yeah, there were some issues. We never had a real problem, but there was some issues, and that was why the gates were put in. Just for safety for the viewers.
Yeah, she's gonna.
Sorry I'm late. I have my excuses, but I won't burden you with them. Over where?
On the table next to you.
Oh. Alrighty. Let's see if they have, as Bishop John Marsh said, the sizzle factor. Can we open this door? Take revenge on the neighbors? And the science is you put the chair, or just open one of them, that's really wrong. Oh, thank you very much. recording for the Western world?
It's okay by me, I'm just checking. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Vijana Balava Girivanandari Gopijana Balava Girivanandari Jasodanandanam Gajajanandana Jasodanandana Gajajanandana Jamuntira Vundantari Jamuna Tiravanakari Tiravanakari Jayaro Madhava Kunda Bihari Gopijana Balava Girivanandari Jasodanandanam Bhajanaranjana Yamunatiravanakari Yamunatiravan Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Puri Vijayakacharya Siddhadeshya Shimana Zavangiri Sabai Chadran Bhakti Vedanta Sai Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Karavashna Brinda ki Nam Char Shlahaidas Thakur ki Prem Shri Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Brinda ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Kundu Radhakund Giri Govardhan ki Vrindavan Dham ki Mathura Dham ki Dwarka Dham ki Navadi Dham ki Jagannath Puri Dham ki Jamuna Maya ki Ganga Maya ki Tulsi Maharani ki Bhakti Devi ki Sambir Bhakti Vrinda ki Srila Prabhupada ki Sri Sri Radha Giridhari ki Shri Krishna Sankirtana Juga ki O Premanandi, all glories to the Sama devotees, all glories to the Sama devotees, all glories to the Sama devotees, all glories to Divine Lotus Sita Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Krishna Sadamo Bhagate Damaganadi Bisaha Kalamasa Dashumesha Parano Kodadotata Narayana Namaskricha Naram Shaivam Narotama Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. The Bhagavatam is as brilliant as the sun. It is arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied with knowledge, religion, etc. Persons who have lost their vision to the dense darkness of the age of Kali should get light out of this Purana. Before beginning our study of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, we should first offer our respects to the personality of Badrinarayan, the Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, the goddess of living Mother Saraswati, the author Srila Vyasadeva, and my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada. So, we should be on, hey, what do you know about that? No, I just have to find it. Jnana Vairagya Yuktena Bhakti Yuktena Chatmana Paripasyati Udashinam Prakritim Cha Hataujasam Jnana-vairagya yuktena Bhakti yuktena chatmana Paripasyate udasinam Prakritim cha hataujasam Jnana-vairagya yuktena Bhakti yuktena chatmana Paripasyate udasinam Prakritim chahataujasam Jnana-vairagya yuktena Bhakti yuktena chatmana Paripasyate udasinam Prakritim chahataujasam Jnana-vairagya yuktena Bhakti yuktena chatmana Paripasyate udasinam Prakritim chahataujasam
Jnana-vairagya yuktena Bhakti yuktena chatmana
Jnana-vairagya yuktena Bhakti yuktena chatmana Paripasyate udasinam Prakritim chahataujasam. Vaishnavis, Jnana-vairagya yuktena Bhakti yuktena chatmana Paripasyate udasinam Prakritim chahataujasam. Alrighty. Jnana, knowledge. Vairagya, renunciation. Yuktena, equipped with. Bhakti, devotional service. Yuktena, equipped with. Cha, and. Atmana, by the mind. Paripasyati, one sees. Udasinam, indifferent. Prakritim, material existence. Cha, and. Hata ojasam, reduced in strength. In that position of self-realization, by practice of knowledge and renunciation in devotional service, one sees everything in the right perspective. He becomes indifferent to material existence, and the material influence acts less powerfully upon him. Nice prescription. Also, you say, in that position of self-realization, by practice of knowledge and renunciation in devotional service, one sees everything in the right perspective. He becomes indifferent to material existence, and the material influence acts less powerfully upon him. Purport. As the contamination of the germs of a particular disease can influence a weaker person, similarly the influence of material nature or illusory energy can act on the weaker or conditioned soul, but not on the liberated soul. Self-realization is the position of the liberated state. One understands his constitutional position by knowledge and vairagya, renunciation. Without knowledge, one cannot have realization. The realization that one is the infinitesimal part and parcel of the Supreme Spirit makes him unattached to the material conditioned life. This is the beginning of devotional service. Unless one is liberated from material contamination, one cannot engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord. In this verse, therefore, it is stated, Jnana Vairagya Yuktena, when one is in full knowledge of one's constitutional position and is in the renounced order of life, detached from material activity, attraction, then by pure devotional service, bhakti yuktena, he can engage himself as a loving servant of the Lord. Hey, what just happened? Oh, Govinda. It's a long story. East meets West. Does anyone have a book? Because I lost the last half of the purport. Fantastico. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay. Where were we? Yeah. Paripashyati means that he can see everything in its right perspective. Then the influence of material nature becomes almost nil. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Brahmabhuta Prasanatma, 1854. When one is self-realized, he becomes happy and free from the influence of material nature. And at that time, he is freed from lamentation and hankering. It is the Lord states that position as madbhaktim labhyate param, the real state of beginning devotional service. Similarly, it is confirmed in the Narada Pancharatra that when the senses are purified, they can be engaged in devotional service of the Lord. What verse is that? Is that Sarvapati or Vinirmuktam? Or what is that verse? That's Rupa Goswami's.
Yes, Sarvapati.
Okay. One who is attached to material contamination cannot be a devotee. Oh, you might as well leave now. No, don't worry. Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Om Ganata Madandasya Gyana Ganasya Lakaya Jakshushu Militangena Tasmadi Shri Gurave Namaha. Well, let's see if this part of East meets West. Okay. So the presentation is often made that, well, because we're talking about knowledge and renunciation and devotional service. So what came first, the chicken or the egg? The presentation is that, well, all right, you're practicing devotional service, and it will eventually lead to knowledge and renunciation. But knowledge and renunciation are the actual goals of the thing, you know? This is what the impersonalists think. This is what the yogis think. So many different people think this. Philosophers say, well, all right, keeps you off the street, 3 square meals a day, okay. At least you're out of trouble, and you'll eventually come to the platform of where we are, of knowledge and renunciation. But really, devotional service, one cannot sustain that any kind of, what is the meaning of that knowledge? Just like Prabhupada said, to hear. If I say, now don't act on this, we're talking theoretically, Dharmaraj Prabhu, would you get me a glass of water? No, that's what I'm talking in principle, thank you though. But you notice, there's action, right? It's not that, Jai, hey, Dharmaraj Prabhu, can you get me a glass of water? Jai. He heard me. I mean, the sound vibration went, it hit the audio, went through the hammer, the anvil, or whatever it is, the stirrup, all the different, hit the, went into the brain. He processed it. He understood what I said. But knowledge, I remember Tamal Krishnamurti meeting a big professor. We were chanting in Ann Arbor, Michigan, University of Michigan. And we had a nice pandal, and we were chanting there. And Tamal Krishnamurti was visiting. And he was talking to one man who introduced himself as Professor so-and-so Dinkins, I forget what the guy's name was, from the religions department. And so Tamal asked him, have you read Bhagavad Gita? He said, yes, of course I've read Bhagavad Gita. Tamal Krishnamurti said, did you understand it? Which was almost an affront, PhD. What is it, permanent head damage or prominent humility disorder? So, of course I've read Bhagavad, of course I understood it. Then Tamal asked him, so what are you going to do? And it was the most far out, there was a moment, a moment pregnant in time. Things froze for a moment. And you saw this look of bewilderment, a puzzlement come over his, what are you going to do? Well, but the fact of the matter is that knowledge is a call to action. If one is actually knowledge. And renunciation in and of himself, Prabhupada gives a classic example. If you're walking behind somebody and they drop their wallet, what do you think? Hey, pennies from heaven. Krishna's mercy. I needed that new, whatever it was. So if somebody drops a wallet, you're walking behind it, there's several things you can do. Before you mention the right thing, what's one thing you can do? You can ignore it. I was going to get there second, but yeah, you can ignore it. And that's like so-called detachment. Renunciate, well, I don't have anything to do with this world. Is that okay? So you can ignore it. Is that the right thing? Okay. We know you're on board. Okay, what's another thing you can do? Pick it up and put it in your pocket. Krishna's arrangement or whatever, What is that's like God has made this world for us to enjoy. Does anyone know as a sidelight, what is the answer to God has made this world for us to enjoy? Yeah, this is the best he could do. It really looks like brand X to me, So anyway, the materialists, they want to enjoy this world. You're trying to enjoy Krishna's things. Okay, so what's the right, Damodar Kumar Prabhu, what is the right thing to do? Somebody drops a wallet. No, because he's a devotee, he's thinking, well, take it back to the temple and give it to the lotus feet of Radha Giridhari. But just on an ordinary plane, what would be the right thing to do? Yeah, give it back to the guy. Hey, you'll drop your wallet, this is yours. If you steal the thing and pocket it, you're always in anxiety. We did a play here one time in the temple, and I forget what the play was, but at one point, Aniruddha and Vaikuntha, dressed as police officers, came in, said, nobody move. Two guys, shut out the side door. It's like, I don't know what they were up to, but they definitely had a guilty conscience. They were up to something, They weren't going to hang around. So one's always in anxiety that everything belongs, that when will it be taken away? When will Krishna in the form of time take everything away? And to not give it back to the person, that's also an act of cruelty, of misappropriation. But the bhakta knows, the devotee knows, everything's in... I asked Prabhupada a question. Prabhupada was cutting fruit at the LA temple to distribute. Someone had brought a knife and a plate, and Prabhupada would cut up an apple and distribute it. So Monday night Bhagavad Gita class. So I asked Srila Prabhupada, what is material, what is spiritual? And Prabhupada held up his knife, and said, is this knife, he was asking me, is this knife material or spiritual? At which point my brain completely froze, I was a young man in those days, and shy, believe it or not. Anyone know Prabhupada's answer? Is that knife? Yes. Depends on how you use it. Prabhupada said, in the hand of a surgeon, it can save your life. In the hand of a robber, it can take your life. So it's all in how you use it. So the knowledge and renunciation doesn't mean that you don't have anything to do with it, or that you have some impersonal idea, but it means that you use it in Krishna's service. So what is the result of that? I was thinking of a couple things here. When I said prescription, there was a guy I met the other day, and he was telling me that he'd obtained samadhi. I said, really? It's interesting. I said, it sounds like there's that tape. The man says that I've become God. Prabhupada says, please accept my obeisances. Just completely pushes the guy aside. Why waste your time with a fool? So I said to the man, I said, what does that actually mean? He said, I had samadhi for half an hour on a Coke bottle. He meant that all of his senses became fixed on one thing. It's like some Zen something, but so what? It's minus any content of purpose or real understanding. It's like when those guys came up from the yoga class, and they came and, yoga's fine, no problem. Yoga serves its purpose. I'm not critical, but this happened to be and they had their guru with him who was, had his wavy blonde hair and the whole thing, and an accoutrement of young ladies with him. And Jayadvaita Swami was giving class. Talk about asking the wrong person. So he asked Jayadvaita Maharaj, at the end of a great lecture by Jayadvaita Maharaj, and beautiful Radha Giridhar is standing there, It's right here. And the man asked, very interesting lecture. I wonder if you can tell me what is the meaning of the fountain? We've been meditating on the fountain. A little burbling fountain, So Jayadvaita Maharaj said, the purpose of the fountain is it makes a sweet sound for the sentient Supreme Lord who's standing behind the fountain. Like, they completely missed the deities, missed Radha Giridhar, missed, So there's a prescription, that's what I was saying, there's a prescription here. If you take the verse apart, one who's in self-realization, it's not samadhi on a Coke bottle, it's not thinking, whatever, it's not that ultimately some Zen Buddhist idea that I just become one with the flow of the river of names, there's no individual identity, there's no good, there's no bad, there's no right, there's no wrong, there's really no taste, there's only synapses firing, and there's really no me. That's not what we're talking about. So it says here, one sees with the right perspective, indifferent to material existence, material influence becomes reduced in strength. So that's what realization, Krishna consciousness gives. That's if I buy the ticket, where am I going to go? Well, there's abhideya sambandha prayojana. All knowledge is broken down into these key categories Jiva Goswami describes, and Rupa Goswami, some Prabhupada, some people. But first off, when you go to a mall, I've got a cartoon somebody sent me, and it's a guy, and he's looking at a city map, and it says, you are here, you thought you were there, you want to be here. That's often our position in life. So Sambandha begins, wait a minute, like Sankhya Yoga, where am I? What's going on? Wait a minute. What's going on? And everything's broken down into categories, and you understand what are the components of this world. Like my son used to make models, airplanes, boats, cars, whatever. But his approach was, look at the directions last. What it's limiting, He was a he's a wonderful kid, but, Anyway, they tell you lay out all the parts first. Lay everything out. Lay it out on the table. Then you figure how it fits together, and then it can function. So, Sambandha is, wait a minute, let me get the right perspective here. What's going on with this world? And you lay everything out. And who are we? What is the Atma? Well, Atma means the body. Well, Atma means the internal consciousness. And ultimately means the self, the soul. So, okay, It's like, okay, here's a seed. I know what a seed does. Okay, I know a seed. I've got earth. I know what earth is. I know what water is. I know what the sun is. Now what do I do? Is it sufficient to know the sambandha, what the elements are? What's the next thing to do? You plant this. You say, oh, you combine them together. There's sambandha is to lay the whole thing out. Sambandha means, abhideya, means you combine the thing. You function. You get that relationship. It begins rolling. You take the seed in the ground, then you water it, and lo and behold, the sprout comes up. Then what happens? Ultimately, suppose you plant the nice mango. What is the end result of the thing? Yeah, you get a nice fruit. You get a nice nurturement. You get a taste, you know? So here it's describing the sees things in the right perspective. It sees things in the right perspective, indifferent to material existence, material influence reduced in strength. If this is what self-realization is, and this is where we should be going, the converse is also true. The opposite is true. Hey, guess what? Certainly speaking for myself, we don't see things in the right perspective. We're completely entangled in material existence, and the material influence has completely overwhelmed us. I mean, passion killings. People kill somebody they love. And you've got the stupid side of the thing. There's the guy down here, we used to have a bank down here at whatever that bank is called. It's been several different names. They just robbed the bank. Dhruva Maharaj, our treasurer, and I went there, and they just robbed the bank, but they caught the robber. You know why? He robbed the bank, he ran outside, he'd locked himself out of his car. There was another guy who robbed the bank, because I was talking to the cop. It was fun. We were talking, I said, he said, really, you don't get the smartest people in crime. They're so passionate. They just impulse response without us seeing things in, where's this going to lead? What's going to happen? There's another guy who robbed the bank, ran outside. He'd parked in the red for a fast getaway. He'd towed his car. And the classic was there a guy who robbed the bank, and he gave him a note, I have a gun. Give him a note. I have a gun, give me your money. But he wrote the note on his own deposit slip. So when he got home, the police were waiting for him because his address and name was on the thing, So, I mean, people do so many stupid things and we actually think about it. Here's the point. Material knowledge means, we're talking about knowledge in its true sense. Material knowledge means their goal of material knowledge is to change the conditions. Here it talks about the right perspective. If I have the right, I'm blind in one eye at the moment. It'll be cured soon by Krishna's grace. But when I put glasses on, well, I'm also far-sighted and nearsighted, so let's take it this way. When I put glasses on, I can now see the smiling face of the devotees. Now, when I put glasses on, did everything shift out there? Did it shift? No. Did it adjust? What happened? I adjusted my perspective. So knowledge, the materialists think that the goal of knowledge is we're going to solve the problems of this world. We're going to change the exterior world. We're going to stack it up, stuff it, push it, shove it, rearrange it, break it down and reassemble it, and it's going to be a better place. That's what they think knowledge is. But knowledge is described in the Bhagavatam is the right perspective. When you have the right perspective. If I go to Tiffany's, I don't see that happening soon, but if, Tiffany's a top jewelry store. If I go to Tiffany's and I ask they got the armed guard, I don't know who I ask. I ask the clerk or some, counter attendee, whatever you call it, salesperson. If I ask the salesperson, where do you sell the radial tires? I want some tires. What will happen? I don't know, they sell diamond-encrusted tires at Tiffany's. But generally speaking, if I walk into a jewelry store and I ask where are the tires, what will they say? They'll direct me to Goodyear. Or as Balaam says, go somewhere else. That's not what we do here. That's not what we sell here, So I'm just looking at the time factor. What is Krishna consciousness? One of the elements, of course, it could go many things of Krishna consciousness, but why are we in the ashram? What is the purpose of the ashram? We are here to be changed. We're here to change the perspective. How to be nasojite brahmabhuta prasaratma nasojite nakanchate. Anybody want hankering and lamenting? It's like an off and on switch. It's like the two. We live in a binary world, pluses and minuses, zeros and ones. That's how the whole thing is programmed. We're either hankering or lamenting. That's the general state. I mean, even on a small scale. Well, my knee hurts, or what it is. I feel a little hungry when it's breakfast. Or on the grand scale. Oh, somebody done me wrong song. Oh, she left me, or this one treated me like that. Or we got so much baggage. My mother didn't love me. Whatever it is. It's all kinds of stuff. So, but what changes is the perspective, not the circumstances. And if we change the perspective, lo and behold, instead of that on and off binary hankering and lamenting, one becomes completely satisfied. Because Krishna can be pleased in any condition. I can render devotional service in any condition. Even if there was a devotee, what was his name? I think his name's Arjuna, or Krishna Arjun in Denver. Krishna Arjun had a seizure. He was a young man, relatively speaking. He's probably around 30 years old, 35 at the most. He had a seizure, and he was completely paralyzed. We didn't know if he'd ever come out of it. He was initially on a breathing tube, then they took him off the breathing thing, Went on for about 6 months. And sometimes he would shed tears. And they told us, well, it's just there's nobody home, It's just, what do you call it? Auto response or something. It's just something going on, it's a glitch in the system, or just something's firing, some nerve. Miraculously, he came out of it. First thing he said when he came out is, and the devotees were sitting there chanting, said, "Got any prasadam?" At first he was hungry, So anyway, but we asked him, I said, what was happening inside? And he said in his mind, this was in Denver, beautiful Radha Govinda, he was worshiping Radha Govinda. He was offering arti, because he wasn't a Brahmin, but he was offering arti, he was dressing the deities, he was cooking for them, and sometimes they would look so beautiful, he would shed tears. So he was, although completely physically incapacitated, locked in his head, went on for 6 months. I don't know how long he was actually conscious. I don't remember. This was some years ago. And he ultimately came out of it. But the point is that he had nothing. And yet he was, there was Pranjiv Popat, he got initiated by Lokanath Maharaj. I forget his name. He's up in the Irvine area. He's passed away now. Very nice man. He also had a heart attack, and he was at the point, all he could say, he lost the ability to speak. All he could do was say Hare Krishna. It's the only thing he could say. Then later on, his speech came back after, I don't know how long, whatever. He said actually he was kind of bummed when his speech came back, because people asked him all kinds of stupid questions, and he had to get involved in the whole thing. He said it was much nicer I could just chant Hare Krishna. And even, you can ask, our own Sri Giridhar, the elderly Papa Kuravati, he had, I don't know what caused it, he had some tonsils, or they did something, and they nicked a nerve. His wife's a very good cook, South Indian cook. Everything he ate tasted like straw. Figure this one out. Everything he ate tasted like straw. No taste. Eventually came back. But when he came to the temple and took prasadam, he could taste it. You ask him. He started coming every day for lunch. I asked him, Giridhar, we're happy to see you, but what's up? He says, the only place I can taste anything. He was coming every day for prasadam. So, I don't know exactly how we got off on that. But the point I'm trying to make is that it doesn't come by changing circumstances. And it doesn't come by either giving up or going full bore into the material nature. we should understand, as it says here, one of the symptoms of self-realization is you become free from the influence. Okay, if I'm not self-realized, or I'm not all the way, certainly that's for sure, then what does that mean? If self-realization means to be free from the influence of material nature, for someone who's not fully self-realized, what does it mean other than Dravida? Not free from the influence, right? If you see a rocket ship, maybe they're going to the moon, maybe they're not. I could tell you the joke about the Polish space program, but we'll save that for later. You see the rocket booster pushing the capsule out. What happens as long as it's in the Earth's atmosphere if the engine shuts off? What happens? It falls back to the Earth. Why? It's under the influence of gravity. As long as it's in the atmosphere, it's also pushing through, whatever. So there's the restraint of the atmosphere, and there's also gravity. As soon as they stop pushing forward, what will happen? They'll fall back. So if self-realization, living in the ashram, or seriously practicing Krishna consciousness, we should be measuring how are we pushing forward. We should want to be trained. What is Michelangelo looking at? It's one of his quotes. He's looking at a La Pieta or David. I don't know what he was looking at. He was just looking at the thing. He was looking at, his friend would come visit, he was looking at this big, big block of Italian marble, white marble. They said, aren't you going to sketch it? Aren't you going to sketch out the thing on the marble block? And anyone know what his answer was? He said, I can see it. I see it. I just have to figure out what to remove. In other words, for him, sculptor, he saw the whole thing in 3D in his head. And all he did was he just removed what he didn't need. So we are here, we are practicing Krishna consciousness. We have to remove we have to accept that we're under the influence of material nature. And the mercy of the Vaishnavas is to help us remove that. What, you criticize me? What, you doing it? We get all bent out of shape. It's like when you go to the Tiffany's and you ask for the tires, that's not what we're here for. So Krishna consciousness, whether you're inside the ashram, outside the ashram, whether you're a sannyasi, whether you're a householder, we have to accept the need to advance and to grow and to hear good advice from others and be willing to change. Otherwise, we will stay under the influence of the material nature. So there's more to say, but we're over time, and I believe that Kanai Balai is back in action. So I will delay you from the prayojan of his cooking no longer. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. What's that? No, that's the gift from Bhakti Sundar Maharaj. And his sincerity. It's a confirmation of his sincerity. He looks younger. Looks like a young boy.
When I first saw Kanai Balai at my desk, who's this nice Hindu gentleman?
You told him that?
Yeah.
That's